Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. Once again, it's rife. It's rife. Everything is rife with Newcastle United at the moment, with news and everything like that. Now, tonight we were going to do a half-season review, which we will still do. We'll have a look at that in certain point of the show as well. But obviously, we've got to cover all the issues that are going on, all the news that's coming out of Newcastle United at the minute as well, because it wouldn't be right not to cover these points. You know, I mean, the show this morning, we've had over 10,000 views on that show, which is incredible. So we want to keep the news going, obviously. We schedule these shows in ahead of time, and, you know, we can't help for breaking news and things like that. So obviously we're going to discuss that tonight. But Billy, I want to start with you tonight in a second. Just a reminder, please do hit the thumbs up button if you do enjoy tonight's show. And of course, if you are new and you're enjoying what you're watching, please do click the bottom right-hand corner, click on the logo, click subscribe, and help us towards 27,000. You can become a member of the Toon Review if you do so wish by hitting the join button underneath the three of us. Lots of prizes to come for the members. And of course, if you want to donate to the channel so kindly, you can do by hitting that $sign at the bottom of the live comments. And you will also guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. So, Billy, we were talking just before we came on there. Interesting point about Amanda Staveley today.
Yeah, I'm generally a pretty optimistic kind of guy, but with all the news coming around the club about potential sales, not much about incomings, and then the news of Amanda Staveley's not made a payment for her share in the club in 2023, and her shares have now gone down from 10% to 6%. You start feeling a little bit uneasy about things, and were they just part of the easing in period to kind of ease the Saudis in? And there's also rumours that Jamie Rubin's now going to take potential 20% increase his shareholding in the club. Rumours, of course, nothing concrete. But yeah, it's not good stuff coming out of Newcastle United at the moment, and
no,
I feel uneasy about it, I have to say.
Well, Ian brought that very point up. He says, all right, lads, hope you're all well. What's your thoughts on Amanda looking like she may be on her way out of the Toon? For me, I'm gutted as she's been amazing for us. It does seem that way, Alex. You know, down to 6% now, and it's a very strange one for me.
I mean, it doesn't mean she's not going to have any involvement.
No. But down to 6%, it's not exactly a big involvement, is it? If it's continuing to go down.
I don't think it. I mean, other side of the coin here, does it matter? Her and Murdad are obviously a close link to the chairman and to the PIF anyway. So whether her share is 6% or more, she's still going to be at the games and can still coordinate things and be involved. It doesn't necessarily mean what the number. It doesn't matter what the number is necessarily, I don't think.
But if she's not putting money into the club now, you may think, you know, and especially with Jamie Rubin wanting to up it, maybe Billy's right. Maybe it's a case of they were there to sort of bring in the new ownership,
possibly,
and things like that. And,
or it's a case of she's a really good face for the media and is decent at being the face and running the club on a day-to-day basis. Well, in that kind of sense, not a day-to-day basis, but you know what I mean. I don't think that her share necessarily influences how much she helps.
No, but Anne says, didn't she say they were only going to be involved until things were taken over properly? Paul Tully says Amanda is a deal maker. She's never been an owner, more of a contract negotiator. 12-Man Toon says she's almost halving her involvement. That's a bit in terms of ownership. Susan says, yes, it matters. Turpy says Amanda does have Huntington's disease, and I just hope that isn't anything to do with her health. If Jamie ups his stake in the club, I've got no issue. He's shown a great commitment to the club and the area. He has indeed. The American Magpie, thank you very much for your super chat, buddy. Hope you're well. Big the Toon Review. Great show, fellas. Thank you very much. I mean, look, the news isn't what we want at the minute, is it? Coming out of Newcastle United, it's regarding players as well. It's a little bit all over the shop, to be honest. I mean, obviously the news broke this morning regarding Miggy. And then you hear news reports on the Trippier situation, Billy, which is that we might accept 11 to 12 million, which is exactly what we paid for him. It makes no sense.
If they think it financially makes sense, he's only kind of worth what we want from him, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want a bit more personally, but he's 33. He's coming towards the end of his career. I mean, to get your money back, is it bad business? I'm ambivalent about it, to be fair. I think it is, because he has got such a massive presence on the club with his leadership qualities and his footballing abilities, of course. It goes without saying. But if they believe they've already got a replacement there for him, which I believe we have, and they can get money for him now instead of just letting him get to the end of his contract and either retiring or stepping down to a lower level, who knows? I'd rather want more money there, I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comments. Are you guys a bit worried about all the non-positive news coming out of Newcastle? You know, because there isn't a lot of stuff we can get excited about at the minute. I mean, look, there's still a whole week to go in the transfer window. As we see, a lot can happen, Alex, and a lot can change in a very short space of time with news.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's non-positive news. It's purely... It's purely the fact that we can't see the other side of the curtain yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, the outgoings are going to mean something. It's going to mean reinvestment into the squad, ideally into the first team squad. So it's only negative because we can't see what's on the other side. So I'm not as negative as everybody. This day was coming. This day's always been coming.
I don't think it's negative, Alex. It's just that the news coming out of certainly over the last several days has not been.
It's uncertainty. Look, it's uncertainty and it hurts. It's like it's why you don't name the turkeys for Christmas, because they're going to have to go at some point. We love Kieran Trippier, we love Callum Wilson, but they were older, more experienced people who were very good. They've been amazing for us. They always deserve the fans' respect. You know, they're amazing players and they're great human beings. They've done loads for the club in terms of all their charity work and PR stuff and how they talk about the club. They've been excellent on and off the pitch, and it has to happen at some point. We were expecting it was probably more going to be in the summer transfer window. It's just a bit jarring for it to happen in the January one, but it was going to happen at some point, and we just can't see what's on the other side of this. Because you know what the PF goals are and the owner's goals are. It's to be the best of the best. So there's going to be a reason for it. That, you know, unless they completely mess it up and reinvest badly, they don't normally get it wrong.
I mean, you've got to look at last season's January transfer window where we got rid of Shelby and Wood and didn't ever replace them. And we were lucky, actually, that it didn't cost us. But, we left ourselves short last season. Would we be leaving ourselves short? Say if all three of them went, if Miggy, Trippier and Wilson went and then didn't replace anyone.
I'd expect Dan Ashworth is going to be very busy if that happens. He's going to be on every flight.
You'd start thinking,
I agree with you. Yeah, if we sell them and don't replace them this window, they've essentially accepted this season to write off.
Exactly.
We would have to get first teamers in the door this window.
And that will have lots of implications if we're doing that with other big players, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We've got Diego Costa in the chat, guys. Hello to you. Good luck on the weekend against our West London neighbours. Thank you very much. Susan says the past year has been difficult for shares. Maybe she just hasn't got the income if her portfolios have dipped.
Yeah, but the shares are going to be worth a lot more, aren't they?
Yeah, Mark says very unsettling. I think that's a better word for it. Just a little unsettled at the minute, but times can change very, very quickly. Certainly in this window. Keith says I'm a little worried about the lack of binge drinking on this show. The lack of binge drinking.
0%.
Yes, we and Pepsi. I'm still waiting for that sponsorship deal. Christ, we advertise you enough on here. Exactly, Billy. Barry,
just in case anyone else, we can't see anyway.
No, straight through it. Magnus, I believe that was, Billy?
It was indeed, yeah.
Yes. Not too bothered about the shareholders' percentages in the club. More the transfers out. Miggy can leave, though. Susan says, very worried because Amanda always seemed to be someone who genuinely cares about the club. Well, maybe she's just happy with our 6%. But very interesting about Callum Wilson today, Alex. Another European club coming, or apparently interested in him, which was, of course, AC Milan. That's been poo-pooed by a few people. But it's, you just don't know, do you? I mean, there's obviously interest in him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the profile of Trippier and Wilson. You look at clubs who are there or thereabouts at the top of their divisions, respectively, in Bayern Munich and AC Milan are currently third in Serie A. They are 7 points off top. So when you're that sort of far behind, which is not too much, a decent window in January, you win the league. If you add in one or two puzzle pieces that slot in well. And a Trippier at Bayern Munich may assist in closing that gap on Bayer Leverkusen due to, they've got a lot of players at AFCON at the moment. And similarly with AC Milan, whether it's been poo-pooed or not, a 7-point gap. If Callum Wilson goes in and rotates with Giroud, he might be the difference with them winning a Scudetto. Like that's what people do in January, especially those kinds of clubs, is they try and supplement. They've got a history for going to the Premier League and getting an experienced head in Giroud, and Wilson is I would say a reasonably good profile for Milan as well. We have also played them this season, and that is quite a known thing in football, isn't it? A lot of teams buy who they've played against because the coaches have been very involved, the fans who know who they are. It's something that does happen, less so in the modern day. It used to be a lot more prevalent, but it's still something that goes on. And it does make a lot of sense logically. They're two good players that might assist other clubs in Europe, try and push for a trophy.
Yeah.
Cash in. I mean, it's really sad, but it could be good for all parties, really.
Yeah. If the AC Milan one has got any legs in it, I'll be encouraging Callum Wilson to get as many accumulators on as possible between now and the move.
Thanks for that, Billy. I'm sure you'll pay rapid attention to that. By the way, good evening to Mackham Cabby, and no silly messages to Mackham Cabby, please, because he's a friend of the channel, and we obviously like other supporters from other teams coming on. He's a good guy. And a good friend of the channel. So, doesn't have to be a Newcastle fan. He likes the interaction with everybody. He likes the banter. There's not a problem with that at all.
Just mention that I think Romano's dropped the ball as well a little bit. He's reporting that Emmanuel Denis, the guy who was at Watford, is leaving Turkey to go to Watford. But he's still owned by Nottingham Forest. Well, he's contracted there. You can't own people nowadays. Well, but he's still contracted to a club in England. So he's definitely, Romano needs to do his homework properly, because he's not being sold from Başakşehir. He's being sold from Forest, because Forest have still got him for another 3 years.
Maybe he's just a bit, all the news that he goes through, he's just a little bit knackered. Dale Atkinson, welcome to the Toon Review Members Club. Thank you very much for signing up. And Gillian Watson has also gifted a Toon Review membership, and that's gone to John Rowland. So thank you very much for your kind gifting there, Gillian. Thank you very much. I mean, look, Billy, if Callum Wilson was to leave, it's a very strange situation that we got with strikers at the minute. It's the same with Miggy. A lot of talk this morning about surely if these players, if we're looking to sell them, then there must be something within the pipeline to replace them, surely.
Well, I feel like it's deja vu for the last January, as I said earlier. We got rid of Chris Wood. We needed to replace him. We didn't. This time we want an additional striker, not just two injury-prone ones, but one on top. And yet we'll talk about selling one of the injury-prone strikers, and we'd have to replace him. It's simple as that. We'd have to. You can't get by to the end of the season on Alexander Isak alone. It's not fair on Alexander Isak to expect him not to get injured between now and the end of the season.
Exactly. It's putting a lot of pressure on him, without a shadow of a doubt. But, I mean, Alex, I would assume that, behind the scenes, stuff we're not privy to, obviously, that there's got to be some kind of plan to action if these players do leave.
Oh,
it's got to be done very quickly as well, hasn't it, with the time that's left?
Well, the turnaround time's got to be rapid, because if we sell Miggy and Wilson, theoretically, we're left with people who are currently fit and are proven fit is Isak and Gordon. That's it in your forward positions. Murphy is returning. Yeah, that's great. It sounds great on paper, but we've not seen him properly yet, and we don't know what's going to happen with that shoulder. I have to admit, I've lost a little bit of faith in the medical team, in that I don't know if somebody's going to come back and have a reoccurrence. I'm less positive about it, and I'm very science and data driven. And the Barnes thing as well, who I still don't believe is real, and I will never give that up. I don't think he's a real person. But you've got, so that's 4, 2 of which are injured, 2 are fit. So there's got to be something huge, like Whether somebody just mentioned Minte, yeah, I don't think that's going to be an option this season.
I think people need to forget about Minte. You know, I mean, I don't mean forget about him completely, but forget about him coming back in this window. It's not going to happen. Eddie Howe has already stated that it's not going to happen. Look, he's making brilliant progress in Holland, and I say just leave him there. He's away at AFCON at the minute, but you know, he is a definite player for the future, and a very exciting one at that. But I don't see any good enough reason to bring him back now. Yes, the squad is a little thin, but when the players come back, Minte is going to be sitting on his ass, and it's pointless doing that because he's playing regular football as well, which is what he went there for. And I think he's a very exciting player for the future, possibly even as early as next season. But he won't be coming back in this window. There's just no way. So I think people need to stop saying about bringing Minte back because it's not going to happen. I'm very excited to see him though, Billy. I mean, he's quite the player.
Yeah, he's certainly got lots and lots of potential. You know, he's powerful, quick, score goals in Champions League. You know, he's an ideal person to come in and be a part of the rotational squad next season, I would have thought. Yeah, but let him learn his trade in the Eredivisie. Let him do that. You know, it's not doing him any harm, as opposed to the other lad we've got over there, Qualls, who didn't seem to be playing much this part of the season, which is concerning in you know, quite a lot because didn't do a lot of Scotland last year. So maybe the Qual one's been a bit of a red herring, but Minte definitely not. He's definitely progressing.
Now, Craig Hope has recently put out that it's apparently a 20 million agreement for Miggy. I mean, 20 million, nearly 30-year-old Alex. I mean, is that somewhere along the lines that you'd be happy with a fee of around 20?
I mean, for Miggy specifically, I mean, it depends on his contract length and what he's on at the moment. I mean, what is that? Almiron, so he's on 60k a week, rumoured apparently, and he's contracted until 2026. So 2.5 years left on his contract for a Premier League proven player. Yeah, probably about fair. I mean, it'd be lovely if we could get another 5 or 10. I'm sure if it was another club, they'd be getting another 5 or 10. But I'd want to push a little bit more. I'd say we could get that a little bit higher. I'd say 20 is fair. Whereas I'd like us to make a sale where it's more than fair for a change because everyone else is selling players for good money. I'd rather go a little bit higher.
Look at Chelsea. They've got Kante, Koulibaly, Mendy. Who else went? The other one went, didn't they? All for good sums of money. And yet they seem to be kind of hankering that we're kind of conning people. I mean,
Almiron is currently rated on Transfermarkt as 30 million euros. So, and I'd say Transfermarkt normally undervalues players, in my opinion. So I think we should get more than 20 million for him.
Interesting. Ian, thank you for your super chat, mate. He says in January, I think we should be looking for 25. A whole new squad. 25 for Miggy. I think 25 for Miggy, possibly, yes. But when you think that, you know, St. Maximin went for 25, you know, Miggy's coming up to 30. I think, you know, 20 is
Maxi was 26.
Yep.
So it's funny that Transfermarkt have got his position down, one of his positions down as left wing. They've clearly never watched us play football.
Yeah, no. Foxy says the Gambia have been a huge disappointment, this African nations. Hopefully they can beat Cameroon tomorrow. Minte has to start.
He didn't start. Me and Billy were on PD Proudlocks the other night when Gambia were on, and he wasn't even playing. It was a bit of a shame.
Yeah. He did come on, scored a great goal, just slightly offside. But by God, he looks a talent. Feyenoord manager said more or less the same the other day, Paul. He is coming on, but not ready for the Premier League. And I think
he would say that, wouldn't he? He would say that.
I'm desperate to hang on to him. Absolutely. We'll see what happens. I mean, Garang Kuol seems to be the forgotten man as well. I don't think he's having a particularly great season. He's in Eredivisie as well, isn't he? I'm sure he's in Holland. But it hasn't.
Yeah, but with him, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because we signed him for hundreds of thousands, not millions. So again, these are really low risk strategies. You know, I appreciate Minto was a bit more. I think it was 7 million, so a little bit more. However, these are slightly risk free in the sense that you can You can loan them out for 2 years and you can make a profit on them.
Hmm.
So either they work or they don't, and you make a profit. So Qual, if it doesn't work, we will make money on him. So it's not an issue.
Yeah. Keith Moore says, are you lads not happy with how Newcastle has been run? Yes or no? I mean, look, I'm quite happy with. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the with how it's going. It's too early to put anything on the new ownership to say yes, it's been a great success, or no, it hasn't. You can't. It's far too early for that. But you look at the way the club is now compared to what it was under Ashley. It's a different football club. You know, they've come in and refreshed everything. There's going to be bumps along the way, and those bumps along the way will include selling players who are fans' favourites. It's football. It's what happens, and we as fans just have to get used to that. But at the same time, I don't think we can turn around and say we're not happy with the way the club's being run, because I think that would be absolute nonsense. You know, they've come in, they've given the fans the club back. There's a lot of positive things, but like I say, Billy, there will be that time where we hit these speed bumps every now and again, and it's just getting over them.
Well, FFP is the biggest one, isn't it? We've got to keep within the realms of the FFP laws, otherwise we know that the Premier League will come down and it's like a ton of bricks. So more than any club, I think we've got to be strict with how we use our finances. So, you know, to sell some of these older players for potential small bits of profit or even breaking even, you know, it has to be done at points, I would imagine. Sponsorship's not going to cover everything, and they're trying to stop us from getting the sponsorships anyway. So, you know, we're fighting a losing battle before we start. We're not fighting on a level playing field. Let's be perfectly frank about it.
Yeah.
The so-called Big Six are operating on a completely different playing field to the rest of us, because they've had years and years of investment, which we haven't.
Guys, over 1,000 watching. Thank you very much. Please do subscribe if you're new. Bottom right-hand corner. Click the logo, click subscribe, and of course, don't forget to give us a like as well. One thing, Kenny makes a point here saying, can Miggy say no? Surely it's a career kill going to Saudi. Well, look, it's going to be Miggy's final move, and if Miggy can get set up for the rest of his life and his family by moving to Saudi, it makes...
Not necessarily. Yeah. I think he could do 3 years in Saudi and go back to the MLS.
Or the MLS, yeah. I mean, he'd be 33 then coming up. So, yeah, I mean, he's still got plenty of time left. And then, you know, finishing, maybe going back to, you know, Atlanta for a season or two, it'd be the perfect sort of perfect circle for Miggy. So, you know, he's got time. But if he goes to Saudi...
a little sell-on clause in...
Yeah, but if he does go to Saudi, Alex, he's going to make a lot of money for his
He'll
family.
make more than 60 grand a week, put it that way.
Exactly, yeah. So he'll have that into account. The Magnum Cabby says, do you think Eddie Howe will still be manager next season? Yes.
Absolutely.
And I hope he is. I don't want Eddie going anywhere. You'll get all the scaremongering coming out and things like that as soon as the likes of Mourinho become available, or get Mourinho in. It's nonsense, man. Absolutely nonsense. Paul Tully says it all depends on what the club are planning. If new players are ready, set, and we need to sell before signing them, then simply selling for a little less to move them on makes sense. I mean, yeah. Look, Miggy's wages are going to be, again, we talk about wages coming off the books as well. You know, we have that to consider. That's going to make money available. So it's a way of moving around FFP, Billy, isn't it? And at the minute, we have no choice but to do that.
Well, if you want to improve the squad, it's just one thing's got to be done. And it's just it's a natural thing in football. You do sell your older players and bring youngsters in. That's how it's always been. Never without FFP even. So it's just a natural way of going. It's organic. Sell your older players, bring youngsters in, or better still, bring them up for your own academy.
Yeah, I mean, who is it? The Salusi, or is that his name, Alex? The young kid. He's who's been compared to a young Maxi, which, you know, good on him. Let's hope he comes through. At the minute, I think, you know, when I watched the under-18s last week, they were absolutely pummeled. And you know, there's not a lot of hope there at the moment that the academy is still where it wants to be, but we are working on that.
We have massively recruited. Like, we went and pinched a bunch of all the young Irish talents. We've recruited some keepers and Alex Murphy. We've tried to slot some players in there. The academy needs a lot of work. I mean, dare I say it, we've got rivals that have got better academies than us in the region, which is not acceptable considering how big we've been in the last 20 years. It's not good enough at all. And it's going to take a few years to change that. Look at what sort of players Man City have been producing. You know, even Sancho and stuff came out their academy. They've had some crazy players like Nemecha came from them, is now great in Europe. They've got loads of decent talents. And, you know, Oscar Bobu just scored against us, for example. We'll be at that point.
Yeah. John says, all this doesn't look right. Now Amanda has reduced her shares. What is next? PIF to pull out altogether and leave us high and dry. John, that's not going to happen. PIF, you know, look how long it took PIF to get the club. They're not going to own it for a couple of years and then bugger off.
You can be concerned about it, but you can't be concerned about that.
Yeah, that's a bit
hyperbole.
panicky.
Yeah, Amanda's side of things, yes, but the PIF are in it for the whole.
That comment reminded me of, you know, a series of unfortunate events. That woman who lives in a house and she's afraid to go near the fridge in case it falls on her.
Yeah,
you can't be in fear of everything. Like they bought the club, they've committed, they've put a lot of money into it, and they want to be the best. Why would they U-turn now?
I mean, look, you don't get a porcelain toilet to sit on it for 3 months and then sell it on, do you? You know, you buy it for the long run. Susan says, I personally can't wait for... I don't know where the hell I got that from.
Preferred my analogy, to be fair.
Yeah, a lot better. Yeah, absolutely. I personally can't wait for February. The uncertainty is horrible. And I think that's what it is, Billy. It's uncertainty, isn't it? And look, I've heard a lot of people coming out today and saying, why isn't the club telling the fans things? Well, there's nothing to tell. You know, I'm trying to explain that if something happens, you know, like a formal bid is made, then the club will come out and say, we've received a formal bid or they've accepted it. The player is now in talks with the club involved. Newcastle don't have to say anything right now. It's all really just pie in the sky.
I mean, it might also be the case that we're trying to downplay what we've got to spend just to keep prices down for us. Because the Newcastle tax is a real thing. There's no doubt about that. You know, you keep your war chest under cover, don't you? You don't go around spouting what you've got to spend because then the club will take the piss out of you. Simple as that.
Yeah. Jay Devlin says, my main worry is how this all looks to the players we have. Is there upset in the dressing room? Is everyone feeling like they could be next? It's an interesting point, that, Alex, and I don't think there's any upset in the dressing room at all. I think the harmony in the dressing room is fine. But would certain players be a little bit sort of looking over the shoulders to think, well,
no,
am I really wanted?
No, absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. What's the age profile of the players being linked away?
Well, old.
So 26 and under. Nobody's been moved. Nobody's been rumoured with a link away, with the exception of Bruno. Nobody else has. All of them are over the age of 26. So your Willocks, your Isaks, okay, Arsenal fans talked about Isak, but he's not actually been linked anywhere. So all of the new players and all of the younger players like Livramento, Willock, Isak, Gordon, none of that. No, it's been all of the. There's the profile of player that's been linked away because it's for a reason. So
yeah.
I mean,
Kenny,
there's nothing else to say because that's just it.
Mourinho is available. Have you been? That's what I said, Kenny. Open your flaps, ear flaps, by the way, because I did say that as soon as Mourinho became available, all the, you know, everybody was saying, "Oh, Mourinho to Newcastle." So yes, I have been wide awake to that point. Foxy says, Miggy looking forward to learning a new language. I'll miss him, to be honest, but if the offer is right, you move him on. The same for everyone. Miggy will finish back in Paraguay with Cerro Porteño. Interesting. Greg says, okay, if Miggy goes, then who plays right wing against Fulham? If we get someone in, they won't play straight away. I mean...
Good question. Maybe Karius is up for a bit of a run. Who knows?
Well, if Trippier don't go, then maybe Livramento will play there.
Interesting. Nick Thornton, been a member for 9 months. Thank you, Nick. We have the right owners, right director of football, and the right manager. Please just trust what they are doing. How are the lads? I don't think there's any mistrust going on, to be honest, Nick. I think it's just, as some people have already put it, it's uncertainty. It's that sort of, oh my God, you know, when we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Newcastle could be quite confident that if Miggy does leave, then they've got somebody lined up to come in within the next couple of days. You know, that's how it works. We're not privy to that. Those that claim they are a bit, you know.
There's an extra thing that we've missed, by the way, Paul, that Ian pointed out. They paid nearly $1 billion to settle that piracy dispute.
I was just going to put that on the screen.
Yeah, like we've all forgotten about that. So they effectively paid a lot more for the club than just the 300 odd. They had to settle that dispute to buy us. So the fact that they did that means they want us to go the long way. Yeah. Surely.
I mean, exactly. Look, a lot of money was put into various things to make this happen, and now it's happened. Just we're sitting in a little bit of a rut, and the uncertainty is. I hate being uncertain about Newcastle United because that's because of supporting the club all my life and knowing the many ups and downs that this football club has endured over the years, and a lot of fans my age and Billy's age will know what I'm talking about. There's been so many different things happen over the years. It's the uncertainty that kills you at times, and you just never know. But
I mean, even younger ages, I've seen this in the Championship twice.
Absolutely.
A lot of younger fans.
Yeah.
But we used to bring our own players up, then sell them, and that was it. Beardsey, Waddle, Gascoigne. This was endless. But I mean, I think it's different now. If Miggy Almiron does get sold to a Saudi Arabian club, Al Shabab, then you can guarantee that he'll be replaced.
By the way, there was a lot of nonsense I've seen on social media today saying, it's money laundering, it's fraud, and it's all of this because of the Saudi club involved. Al Shabab, by the way, are not owned by the PIF. They are one of the clubs in Saudi who have nothing to do with PIF, so it is not dodgy dealings. End of story. And those, I mean, obviously, it's fans of opposition teams that have put that in
Chelsea's the main one.
Well, it wouldn't matter.
I don't know how Chelsea dare.
Exactly. But it wouldn't matter anyway because Chelsea have done it. Other clubs have done it. Why does it matter anymore? Well, as long as it's fair market value to a point, Miggy's worth somewhere between 20 and 30. If the transfer fee is around that, what's the problem? Exactly. There shouldn't be a problem with it.
Viper replaced Miggy with Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, I'd be happy with that.
Could be an interesting one.
I'd be extremely happy with that.
Forest kind of with the FFP and that maybe would sell for a slightly cheaper price than what he's probably worth.
I'm sure Gibbs-White's been linked with us in the past.
He has. There were rumours of. I mean, Gordon's just said it there. There were rumours that we've scouted him a ton of times. Like we've done him on a few transfer shows previously. Back when he was at Wolves.
Yeah. I'll have a player.
David says we wait years for Miggy to start crossing with his right foot. Does it for 2 games, and he's potentially on his way. You couldn't make it up. Absolutely, it's madness. EMA, thank you very much for your super chat. Much appreciated. David says meeting next month to bring meeting next month to bring FFP in line with Euro wages to income. 2 reasons Arsenal and Man United cannot buy anyone. To stay, the most attractive league clubs need to improve and buy players.
I mean, they can if they increase their revenue or sell. Half their players are on 400 grand a week or something stupid. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, guys, if you're in charge of the Premier League, right, and you want this Premier League to stay the global attraction that it is, and everybody's saying, the Premier League's the best in the world, you want the best players to come to the Premier League. But because of FFP, a lot of clubs can't bring these best players in. It's only a certain few. So we're missing out on top quality players as well because of FFP. It's stifling the Premier League's attraction as well because these players will go to Spain, they'll go to Italy, and suddenly they're the leagues that people want to watch because they've got the best players.
Yeah, spot on. For the Premier League to be what they consider themselves to be, they're going to have to do something with the FFP laws. I think that's what that means coming in next month, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some big changes. Yard Sale, thank you for your super chat. He says, I think Eels is on 200 IQ play. Everyone thinks we are panicking to sell. We offload some aging stars we love, clear up wages, then bam, all the Saudi loans come in. Float us till Champions League and Adidas money. Dylan, thank you for your super chat. 11 to 12 million for trips is shite, robbing us blind. I mean, I said this morning's show, I think if Miggy and Trippier do go, we've got a couple of players lined up, then I believe those players lined up will be loans until the summer where we regroup again and we rebuild again. I don't foresee players coming in for permanent deals, Billy. I think it would be loans to see us through for the season.
Potentially. I think it probably makes the most sense. It depends what fees we get, isn't it? It's as simple as that. If we can sell Miggy for 20 or 25 or even 30, that gives us a bit more wiggle room to buy someone, doesn't it? So depends on what we get. And I think only one of them will go. And I think if out of the three, I think it'll be Miggy, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah. I mean, look, do you? I mean, in your own heart of hearts, guys, do you two think that one of these players or two of these players that have been sort of mentioned in the media are going to leave before this window ends? And if so, it's going to have to be soon in order for us to bring in replacements.
I think one will.
I think one will too. I think I'm going to be the one as well.
You think, Miggy? Alex, who do you think?
Well, I'm not sure who, but I think one will definitely go. I've got no idea who it'll be, but I think we will. I think this is on purpose. There's been a few people in the chat have said it. Darren Hills is not an idiot. Like, there's a load of people saying he's dropped the ball. Chippers is not happy with him. They're not stupid. We've seen the documentary. They're extremely intelligent people who have been employed to do a job, and they spend day after day after day coordinating these plans and tactics. They utilize the media for their own benefit. They're not stupid. This has been done for a reason. We just don't know the reason yet, and we can't see the other side of this. That's why it feels strange, and it's unnerving. I think it'll be fine. I really think it'll be absolutely fine. I think we'll sell one, we'll recruit reasonably well, or even if it doesn't work perfectly straight away, there's a plan in place.
Yeah,
they're not putting all of this in for no reason.
The reason why I think it's home one is, well, Romano's giving the eyes about Mukiele going from, is it PSG to go back to Bayern Munich?
Yeah, that's looking more certain.
That's the trippier one. Forget that. They ain't going to sign him if they sign him. Wilson, how does he pass a bloody medical for one?
That's what I'm struggling to come to terms with. I'm thinking how he's made of elastic.
I think he's the most saleable asset and one we can kind of get round.
Yeah. Susan reckons she likes Neto. I think Neto would be a brilliant signing. Very, very good player.
Somebody mentioned Elise a minute ago. I'd love Elise.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody's talked about him going to Man City. Imagine if we swooped that.
And Palace are going one direction at the minute. Remember, they are slumping badly. I think there's going to be a managerial change there shortly. I think Roy's past it for me, but that's no pop at Roy. He's been a magnificent manager over his career. I just think sometimes you need to realise when you need to take a step back. I don't think it's working at all. Kev says that really gentle guy called Joey Barton had a pop at Saudi and NUFC them up at. I'm genuinely starting to believe that Mr. Barton has lost a bit of screws. The way he's behaving at the minute is mental for me. I have to say most of the stuff he's putting on there completely disagree with. I just think he just seems to want to pick fights with everybody at the minute, does Joey Barton, and he's not exactly helping himself get back into the game.
He needs to go manage a team, ideally.
Well, he just he's lost the plot for me.
Who's been employing?
Well, not after that. Yeah, he's gone a bit far. Well, whether he was right or wrong in certain things is irrelevant now. He's made himself very unemployable.
Yeah, he's really stepped over the line for me. And I used to, I mean, I don't know Joey Barton personally. I don't know what kind of person he is. I really liked him when he was at Newcastle. I thought he was a brilliant midfielder for us. And let's say we could do with a Joey Barton in the midfield at the minute. So, I just think he's gone too far. RG Fox is my half-season review. A great pleasure to see the lads back in the Champions League taking on fantastic opposition and doing very well. The injuries are awful and we could battle on. That's expected. But we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes just to round up the show. We're not going to go through all the player ratings or anything like that. We're going to pick our best player, most improved player and worst player and best result and things like that. We'll do it that way for the last 10 or 15 minutes of the show, but everything's really been taken over by all the news coming out at the minute. Chipper says Neto is back from injury at Wolves and in good timing for Miggy going. I mean, realistically, Alex, would Wolves let him go on loan? I don't think they would. So, I think you're going to have to try and
let him go on loan.
Absolutely. So you're going to have to put a bid in, aren't you? And we're not in a position to do that. And it's going to be a lot of money for Pedro Neto. Let's be honest.
Maybe it depends what we want to do with it. It depends if we go big in for one player, or it depends who we sell, what position they're in, and then what we want to do with the money. Whether we want to put it across 2 or 3 players who are a bit younger and a bit cheaper, or whether we want to go big. Completely depends.
Foxy says Paraguayans generally play until the late 30s. Remember Roque Santa Cruz? He's still playing at 42. Yeah, I mean they can. Obviously in those countries. I think of it. It's then again, Alex. South American football leagues tend to be like wrestling. They're incredible. I mean,
red cards everywhere.
Red cards, absolutely. Mike Elliott says, yes, mind the new owners played beIN Sports a fortune before they could buy the club. So they're not going to sell it until they get it to the top of the table for me. Yeah, they're going to want a return on the investment. And, they're not getting it right now, but eventually they will. And we will look back, hopefully, on this channel in a couple of years' time when me and Billy are on the old Zimmer frames, but we'll still be ranting on about Newcastle. And, looking back and thinking, can you remember a couple of years back, we lost Miggy and we lost Trippier and everyone was like, oh, my God, and now look at us winning trophies. I mean, it's Newcastle United. It's just mental. Every time you refresh something like X or Facebook, there's always something crops up about Newcastle United and certain news. It's madness. Andy says Trips is nearing 34 and we have 2 right backs already, 12 to 15 million, and we should take it. Effectively had him for free, plus minor profit for 2 years.
I don't like it, but he's not wrong.
No.
Still don't like it, though.
No. Jan, thank you very much. One knows, and the ones who do know are not letting anyone know until we all know. Jan, for the specific word of no. EMA, thank you for another super chat. We will get 30% of Ivan Toney in the summer. That's a good point as well. And the money that's been banded around for him, 30% will be quite a nice little...
It's not. It's 30%.
It's not 30% of what Peterborough get, isn't it? It's not. Yeah. It's not the transfer.
Peterborough get the profit. We get 30% of what they get.
Yeah. So if Peterborough got 7 million, we get 30% of the 7 million. Yeah.
I think it works out to about 6 million quid we get.
Yeah.
It will still be useful.
Yeah, possible.
Pays for Mintes transfer.
Indeed. Frimpong at Leverkusen and Chikwaze at AC Milan. Exciting players to go after if Almiron goes.
I mean, Frimpong's not going to leave an invincible season by
he's
Leverkusen.
He's not leaving Leverkusen in a million years, mate.
They're on an invincible season. Not a chance.
Bundesliga champions this season, without a doubt.
Well, you've just jinxed it now.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
They'll lose their next game now. You watch.
FFP will have them. German FFP.
Listen, if that happens, right, leave me alone and let me wallow in the glory of seeing Leverkusen.
Who have they got next? We'll revisit this because they will lose next.
No, they are in. They will be invincible this season. They really will.
Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach.
The 27th.
Kone, unless we signed him.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a possibility, isn't he? He could be a Newcastle player. Clark says, what happens if we sign Toney? I know he is. What happens if we sign Toney, though, says Clarky? We're not.
We would be silly because he is not a nice man.
I don't.
6 million cheaper would be 64 million, 74 million, whatever he goes for, cheaper.
Yeah.
But we're not going to sign him because he's a prick.
Julie J says, the chat moves quickly. I love Munich, says Julie J, but don't want them to have Kieran Trippier. I mean, I'd be sad to see Trips go. I really would. I think he's been an inspiration since he's come to the club. Toon Gamer makes a good point, actually. The striker in the summer, Evan Ferguson, at Brighton, of course. Very talented striker. Very, very talented. So I wouldn't be
as well.
Very, very expensive.
Listen,
as well.
Howie, guys, we know as well as anybody that if we're going to sign a striker, it's going to be a hefty price, isn't it? We're not going to get.
He's going to blow 100%. If we offer 80 or 90, they say go fish. Considering the prices they've sold people for this last 2 years, they will just tell us to jog on. They've got plenty in the bank.
Well, yeah, they will. But the thing is, if we want to sign one of these elite strikers, we're going to have to pay for one at the end of the day.
But we're also going to have to rebuild, losing the arse end of our squad, because we're going to have to sort of upgrade on Murphy and Longstaff. You know, we've also got to sort of improve Jamal Lascelles, the reserve goalkeepers. There's Dan Burns getting older. There's so many different positions we need to improve on. Like, can we buy £100 million striker and replace like 7 or 8 positions as well in the squad?
But the Toon Gamer makes a good point there. He's not playing regularly as Ferguson. He's not in the side every game. Although that Lewis makes a point that
But they rotate a lot.
Chelsea are linked with him for 115 million. What a surprise that is! Jesus,
Yeah,
Christ.
don't buy from Brighton, as Foxy says. Buy the players before they go to Brighton. Don't buy from Brighton.
Indeed.
Or again, when they fail at Chelsea.
Absolutely,
Or that.
there is that as well. Somebody mentioned Shesko there for £43 million. He may or may not feature in the transfer show tomorrow, but the fact that he's on our thumbnail, Shesko. The fact that he's on the thumbnail kind of gives it away, but you know. Right, let's before the last part of the show, we'll sort of have a look back at the first part of this season. Obviously, we're halfway, well, just over halfway now, so we're going to look back and it's been a strange one, Billy. I think I mean, if you could sort of have one word for this season so far, what would it be?
Frustrating.
Yeah,
I think we've been dealt a really shitty hand by the twist of fate that's happened to us on a regular occurrence.
Yeah,
and that's forced inconsistency in our game. When we've been able to put a reasonably full strength side out, we've been fantastic. When we haven't, and it's been the other way around, naturally we've not been anywhere near as good. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the manager. It's frustrating for the fans. I imagine it's frustrating for the players as well. So yeah, frustration
absolutely.
for me.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
It's been very much a roller coaster season. You know, we started strong, a very, very good pre-season, and then we put 5 past Villa. We lost 3 games on the bounce because we had to play City, Liverpool, and Brighton away, which was really tough. But then we went on that massive run. We put 8 past Sheffield United, and then that built up to us. We knocked City out, and then we put 4 past PSG. And we thought the season was taking a bit of an upturn, and we were starting to steamroll teams again. Like it was similar to what it was last season when we played Spurs and Everton. We just started to people couldn't deal with it. It was reminiscent of Liverpool early Klopp days when they lost that first Champions League final. They were just beating everyone 5-0. Nobody could stop it. And we have that in us. When we get rolling and everybody's fit, we can do that to most teams, and it's frighteningly impressive.
Well, I think after we beat Villa on that opening day, I think everybody thought, "Oh, here we go!" You know, we got so much to look forward to. You know, a brilliant new midfielder in Tonali scored a goal, looked really good, and then all of a sudden, Tonali news came out, and then. But the Champions League was brilliant from my point of view. No, we didn't qualify. That was another frustrating point where we actually should have. We didn't get embarrassed. We didn't get overrun. We fought in every game we were in, and I thought, you know, it was a brilliant experience, and we want more of that moving forward. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to put you on the spot now, though, guys, because I'm going to ask you about the players. Who has been your standout player so far this season, Billy?
Bruno by quite a way, actually. You know, he started the season slower than what we anticipated he would, but as the season's gone on, he's got better and better and better. And even when we've been underperforming, he's shone like a shining beacon. So Bruno for me.
A lot of people putting Bruno in the chat, a couple of putting Gordon. Connor, thank you for your super chat. He says, thoughts on True Geordie's comments in his latest segment calling Longstaff a fraud, etc. Harsh considering his tip for England in October. I don't agree with him calling him a fraud. I think, look, everybody's going to have opinions. Everybody is. A lot of Newcastle fans don't rate Longstaff. That's just how it is.
I mean, we beat PSG with him in the side, and he played very well that game. So he's obviously capable of something.
I don't think he's as bad as everybody's making out. I don't think, you know, I was asked in the comments earlier on today, do I think Longstaff is the future? No. I think there's, you know, if we're going to be an elite side, Sean Longstaff would probably be a squad player. You know, if I'm honest, I think
that's what he was meant to be this season 11. Anyway, right? With Tonali. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
He'll be like a Darren Ferguson type player that you play for certain games, horses for courses, when you want someone to cover the ground and you pick him. Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, I know True Geordie Brian has a lot of comments that people don't agree with, but look, I've got a lot of respect for Brian, to be honest, and he helped me a lot when the channel got started, and I won't forget that. Do I agree with everything Brian says? Of course not. Does he agree with everything we say? Probably not. It's just a bunch of opinions. Did you say Bruno as well, Alex?
No, I haven't said anything yet.
Well, go on then.
I mean, I want to pick somebody different just to obviously give a different opinion. But yeah, Bruno probably would be top. I mean, I'm looking through data now, and Bruno's on everything. Whether you look at big chances created, tackles, accurate long balls. If I look through the data of the team, he's in the top 3 of most of the impressive metrics because he just does everything. But I'd like to single out Anthony Gordon purely for 12 goal contributions this season, which is outrageous considering the media. All they're doing is talking about Cole Palmer and other young players and Saka and stuff. It is outright disrespectful and ridiculous with how well Gordon's played this year. As a young guy, he was the player of the tournament for the national team at youth level and won us the cup in the summer. He's now got 12 goal contributions up to January. He's been magnificent and he's worked his socks off as well. He's technically good. He's getting goals, assists. What is he not doing? He's been phenomenal.
Yeah,
he's been completely overlooked.
He's definitely a good shout, yeah. I'm going for Fabian Schär, lads. I just think Schär's been a monster this season. Yeah, he's had the odd couple of bad games, but I think over the majority of this half of the season, I think he's been incredible. And obviously when Botman got injured, he moved to Botman's side. He moved to the left side and, just took the mantle on and has just been absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of players that we can say who've possibly, stood out. But for me, you've mentioned Bruno, Billy, Anthony Gordon, obviously, and Schär. I think those 3 for me are probably the 3 that have really, really stood out. So
I think Isak deserves an outside shout.
Yeah, Livramento as well, of course. He's been sensational, but for some reason hasn't played lately. But that may change with what's going on in the transfer world. We wait and see. MU fan, which I take as a Man United fan, just asked us if we'd be accepting of McTominay. No,
not for me.
Not for me.
No.
Not for me. Right. Most improved player. Quite frankly, most improved player for me is Lewis Miley. He improves every time I see him go on the pitch. He's just really, really improving every game, and we've got an absolute talent there. Billy, how about yourself?
Jamal Lascelles for me. Absolutely outstanding in the games he's played.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout. Alex?
Yeah, I think it's between Gordon and Lascelles because Gordon struggled a little bit at the back end of last season, had a good summer, and he's been phenomenal. But I think Lascelles, I think it's a better transformation because with Gordon, obviously he'd already got a lot of talent, energy, speed. You could see there was a lot there of just raw talent, whereas Lascelles came from a place of constant mistakes. A couple of years ago, he was in the bottom first percentile for passes. He couldn't hold an offside trap. He couldn't run. He couldn't do it. All of it was just absolutely shocking, and I never wanted him anywhere near the team ever again. And he had time away from the squad. Well, I say squad, from the pitch. And he's obviously done a lot of hard work behind the scenes and now was decently competent for us and put in some great performances. So he's more than good enough to be a squad player for us. Even now, I think if there was longer on his contract, I think he would probably stay. If there happened to be another 2 years, I don't think we'd get rid of him straight away. I think we'd keep him around because he's useful. We do need to obviously upgrade not upgrade, but reduce the age profile of the defense. Definitely, that's something that we need to do. But yeah, I think Billy's fair with that. I think Lascelles is probably the best shout.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that at all. Now then, most disappointing player of the season so far. Alex, we'll start with you on this one.
Harvey Barnes.
Alex, you started the show by saying you don't even know if Harvey Barnes is real. So
I'm still not sure.
You cannot use
could
Harvey
be a mythical
Barnes.
creature. I don't know.
Well, exactly. So you can't use him in this instant because he hasn't played. He hasn't played enough to be the most disappointing player.
Nor is Tonali.
Well, I'm not going to say Tonali either. I mean, some people are saying Tonali.
It's Barnes. It's got to be Barnes. The fact that we sold a PK'd winger to bring in another PK'd winger.
No, Billy. That's why he's picking Harvey Barnes because Barnes replaced Maxi and Alex is still.
Who did Lewis Hall replace? Nobody. Who did Tonali
No.
replace?
You're saying Barnes, even though he's been out most of the season injured,
All of the
despite
season.
scoring goal. Yes.
Literally
So how
all of
can he
the
be the
season.
most disappointing player? It's because he replaced Maxi, and you've still got a chip on your shoulder about that, which you're never going to forgive him for.
I've got a chip on both shoulders.
Oh, it's shocking. Absolutely disgraceful that you're doing that to Harvey Barnes. He's done nothing to deserve that accolade at all, apart from the fact that he replaced...
You are right. He has done absolutely nothing. You are
because
spot
he's never
on.
been on the pitch. He can't do anything if he's bloody injured, and you're just...
Oh, but we weren't allowed to
digging
say
in the
that about
grave.
Maxi. I wasn't allowed to use that excuse for Maxi. Oh, it's not his fault if he's injured.
But Maxi didn't do it on the pitch either. He didn't have a finishing product, Alex. Let's be honest.
He got 5 assists in the back end of last season. He was doing well.
And it's not Barnes' fault that we sold Maxi. Is it? Really?
Not Maxi's fault that we sold Maxi.
You're disgraceful, Alex. Honestly, I think that's a shocker.
Should we see how long he's been out injured for? 120 days. He's missed 25 matches for us so far this season.
That's only a quarter of
25.
Well, that's how many matches Maxi misses every season for Newcastle. But I mean, Billy, come on, level this up here. You can't go with Barnes, surely.
I could, because apart from the Aston Villa game, in the other 4 or 5 games he played, he was bloody awful. You know, he's got a complete lack of pace from a winger. Yeah, he's not been great. He played well against Villa in the 20 minutes, but 20 minutes of good football doesn't contribute a fantastic season for me. And he has been injured, so I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to pick somebody else.
You could say Joe Willock. You could say Pope because he's been out for so long. Come on.
I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to pick. Because I'm going to pick Miggy and Trippier.
Yeah, that's a shout. That's a
And
shout.
Purely for his form since the end of November has been nothing short of awful.
Yeah.
But there may be reasons for that, but it's not the Trippier we're used to, and hasn't been nice watching, to be fair.
Barry the Beast says, literally, Paul, makes 0 sense. What do you mean by that? Are you having to dig at me or are you having to dig at Alex? Please
also,
do
Dylan's chatting absolute nonsense because he says Maxi's done nothing in Saudi. He's got 3 goals, 8 assists. I'm sorry, but that's fine.
I'm sure I'm the host, Alex, about putting, I've warned you about this, putting comments up on the screen without notifying the host. I think it's shambolic, really. You are having a Castor tonight. Pack it in! Yes, Maxi, you are no end product. Thank you very much for your super chat. He says, let me guess, Paul, you're going to say Miggy. No, I am not. I'm saying Sean Longstaff. So there you go. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I think Sean has been disappointing. I think he should have been... Barry the Beast says, it's to dig at Alex, Paul. Didn't stress I'm a smart man. Thank you very much. Indeed you are. Longstaff for me has got the potential there. He's done it quite a few times, when he's on top of his game, but we haven't seen it enough. I think for some reason he's really slow right now. His turning circle is like an oil tanker, and he loses the ball in dodgy situations because he's too slow. His head doesn't seem to work, or his body doesn't seem to work as quick as his head when it comes to letting the ball go and things like that. I mean, it's just, what are you laughing at now? Have I missed something?
No,
not at all.
So why are you laughing?
Because you got it wrong the first time round.
Oh my God, as if I got something wrong. I don't care, right? Alex has pissed me off with his bloody love of Maxi. Right, it's shock. He's had a shocker.
There's a few shouts for Ryan Fraser. I mean, I'm down with that as well. Ryan Fraser gets it.
He can't be. He's doing pretty well for Southampton, to be fair to him.
In the Championship.
Yeah, but it's true.
In one of the strongest teams in the Championship as well.
We can't give him most disappointing player. He hasn't played. I mean, if we're going,
he was still part of the team, wasn't he? I've still never forgiven him for losing a foot race to Jack Colback. Like he was 27 at the time.
You will never get over that, Alex.
That was 18 months ago.
It makes it even worse. Jack Colback was in his 30s, and Colback had played the entire match. Fraser came on fresh, lost a 50-yard foot race. Absolutely ridiculous.
PL Rich says Maxi was brill. I'm with Stato. Tell me how he was brill, because he did a few Michael Jackson dances on the pitch. Exactly. That's it. There was nothing. I mean, we've had this debate many, many times, and it's going to continue for probably the next God knows how long because of Alex's love. Len Simmons, thank you for your super chat. He says, you three are so funny. I love it. Try being host to these two Muppets. I mean, not so much Billy tonight, but the cock next to me on the top. I mean, I just don't understand. It's frustrating, really frustrating. Super chat again. Thank you very much. He says, are you sure you don't want to say Miggy, Paul? No. Give me a £50 super chat. I might change my mind. What's that one from Julie J? He didn't moonwalk, though, did he? Well, he tried. Ian, thanks for your super chat. Did Billy just destroy Paul then? Mutiny on the Toon review. Why did Billy destroy me?
I think he's trying to stir the shit with his spoons.
Yes, I think he is. Susan says, loads of talent, but couldn't play in a team as well, which is why Maxi left.
So just the reverse of Miggy then.
Susan, God forbid anybody says anything against Maxi. Alex will come for you with his stakes. He really will. He'll come for you and he'll hunt you down. Connor, thank you for your super
we haven't seen for like 3 weeks, by the way. That Korma only appears when we talk about Maxi. That is definitely someone's second account who only logs in.
Somebody might just be sitting in the background
Absolutely
watching
not.
Alex. Connor, thank you for your super chat. I bet it's Tonali. Jokes. Well, Tonali, I mean, I'm very, very, very disappointed. Dylan says Maxi was shite, and I'll die on this hill along with Paul. I mean, Maxi can't be compared to some of the great players that we've had on that side of the pitch over the years. He just can't. If it was for wearing bandages and all that kind of stuff, and
I think he was sold before he got that chance. I think he was 26 years old. He was at his peak. I think this was his time, and he got sold before we could really answer that question.
I'll tell you what's fair. If Alison Maxman had never signed for Newcastle United, would still be owned by Mike Ashley because we would have been relegated and Steve Bruce without Alison.
Oh, didn't you start, Billy? Come on,
didn't you? Fact.
It is a fact.
Nah, look, I'm not having it. He couldn't tie Robert, Ginola.
A weekend game with Crew Alexandra. That's what we're doing.
It's all.
He was our only outlet for 2 seasons.
It's pie in the sky. Pie in the sky.
That was the ball that came down to him from 40 yards every time he got the ball. To be fair.
Right, it's time to end this show because these two are doing my absolute nappering tonight. I mean, I can't believe some of those things that these two have come out with tonight. And
I haven't talked about Eddie Howe. You haven't got to talk about him, surely.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm going to let you two talk about Eddie Howe. What do you think of Eddie Howe?
I think he's been learning this year. I think hopefully he learns by the mistakes he's made. No doubt about he's made mistakes this year with his man management of certain players and not rotating some of the kids in to give some players even 20 minutes rest. So hopefully he's learned from that, but I'm not certain that he has.
Interesting. Nick, thank you for your super chat. This is we need a get to know us host show. Well, funny enough, you should say that. It's coming up on Wednesday. Wednesday night is a get to know your host show. It's a Q&A. We haven't done one for a long time, so it just gets all our new subscribers. Everybody can ask us questions in the chat within reason, of course. And we're happy to, get to know your host. So that's coming up on Wednesday night. You can ask football-related questions or, nothing too personal, by the way. Just get to know us, what hobbies, etc., and things like that. Fine. That is coming up on Wednesday night, so you can get to know us a bit better. Ian, thanks for another super chat. He says, I'm getting me drunk and spoons are stirring as I'm going to be away for a while, lads. See you all on the other side. Well, you take care of yourself, buddy, but stay in touch. Cushy says, I've heard Paul is on his way out. Where? I mean, that's interesting. Anyway, have you had your say on Eddie Howe yet, Alex?
No, I was letting you do your hosting duties,
Oh, what? Get on with it.
I mean, I think Billy summed it up fairly well. I think it's been a very good learning experience for him. He's been a great manager. He's done a lot of interesting things so far in his career, but this is something no matter how much you prep for. I think he's been very unfortunate and that he's had a very bad roll of the dice this year with injuries and certain, the group of death, refereeing decisions, especially in that PSG game. Yeah. There's a lot that's really put extra pressure on him that it wasn't really his fault. There was a lot that was his fault. But I think a learning year is the perfect way to sum it up, as Billy did. I think this will be great for him going forward. So for people pointing out his mistakes he's made this year and he might not be good enough to take us to the next level, I think that's completely unfair. I think you've got to give him a chance to learn from his mistakes. And if he doesn't learn from them, then fine. That's fair enough. Yeah. But I feel like he is learning. We see a lot of changes and improvements, tactical shapes. The gap between the defense and midfield. He's trying to do little things. You've definitely got to give him time. I do think he'll get to the end of the season absolute minimum. I think they'll try and help increase and improve this squad in the summer and let him have another crack at it in the following season. And if he hasn't been learning his lesson, then they might go elsewhere. But yeah, a learning season, I think, is the best way to describe Eddie Howe.
Yeah. I think you learn more about your manager in adversity. To have it steady, easy all the time. From him. He's had a lot of adversity this year, more than what any manager deserves, in actual fact. So to come out of it this side, and hopefully we can progress. We'll see the true kind of qualities of the man.
Well, potentially the team as well, in terms of his coaching staff. Because that might need to change. He might be used to a certain setup of coaching staff, and he might think, right, next year we need an extra 3 physios, or we need a different profile of person in the backroom staff, or we need a few more of this type of person, whether it's player, family liaison, whether it's the chef, who knows? There's loads that can improve every aspect of the club, and he might have learned a lot about his backroom setup as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because Santos' point is a similar one to what I was going to say. Let down by his medical staff, very naive but learning. Not fast enough for me though. Still the man for the job. I think he has been let down by his medical staff, and I think that is something that he's going to learn from and address in the summer. It has to. Rabbit Nunn says maybe Paul will sell Stato and Billy. Look, Stato and Billy, right, as much as they like to wind me up, are irreplaceable, right? If one of them left, I couldn't replace them.
Right? I wouldn't mind going on loan to Al Hilal for 6 months. That'd be warmer.
Well, sod off them. Yard Sale, thank you very much for your super chat. Jamaican Observer reports Maxi to the Toon on loan. Well, I guess we'll see. But there you go, guys. That is the show done for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. All your super chats and new memberships, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, don't forget to give it the thumbs up. Very important that we keep those coming in on the channel. And of course, if you're new, if you're watching this on a rerun, please do subscribe to the channel. And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we schedule our live shows or we upload any recordings. Thank you to the mods, of course. Thank you to Billy and Alex. And thank you to you guys out there. You are absolute legends. Brilliant show tonight. Great crack. Really enjoyed it. I'll be back at 11 in the morning. God knows what with news. I have no idea what is going to happen when we open the news pages up in the morning, but there'll be something to talk about with Newcastle United. And then we're back tomorrow night with the transfer show with Sheshko. I'm sure we'll be on there, and a few others. Listen, that list of players that we could be signing could be added to tomorrow for tomorrow night's show. We just don't know what is going to happen. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some agreement. When I'm thanks to all, and you're thanks to all, tell all you got different tragic. So much trouble make magic.